Undoubtedly, Nigeria's most important resource, not oil, not agriculture, not solid minerals, but you and all of us. Your energy, intelligence are what will drive and develop Nigeria long after we are all gone.
That was the mood when the Not Too Young to Run bill was passed into law. Africa is a young continent, yet record shows that it has mostly old political leaders, leaving the youth on the sideline. Enhancing opportunities for young people to participate in politics has become a growing political priority.
If the youths come up today and say, we want to take part, they get themselves into political environment or medium, such as the ruling, the parties that are invoked today, PDP and APC, and then have an idea that's different from what is going on today. Have an idea from what was going on over the last, since the emergence of this Fourth Republic. And then why would such group not be voted for?
It is not just about kicking older people out. It is about let us have old and young, let us have male and female, and let us learn from each other.
Before then, we look at the geographical distribution. The percentage of youths in the population of Nigeria summed up to about 65%. And I mean, if 65% of the population of the nation are youth and they are not given active participation to play in the decision process and decision making of the nation, then that alone should tell you where the nation is heading to. So it was only pertinent at the point in time to give room for youth to.
From your perspective, do you really see youth, Nigerian youth, to be ready to assume sensitive positions of authority?
Yes, you see, there's one thing, I think there's a lacuna in this law. It's one thing to pass a law of not young to run, and then again you need to check what's the cost of actually running for that office. If there is a commensurate law as well that will cut down the cost of contesting, that will actually give more youth that believe that indeed there is actually real hope, that it is holistical, it is well holistic. Because, okay, for example, now a young man graduates at the age of 25, and then for how long will it take for him to work to earn a certain amount of money?
Age Reduction Bill, popularly known as Not Too Young to Run Bill, seeks alteration in Section 65, 106, 131, 177 of the Constitution of Nigeria, which is to reduce the age of running for elective positions. For House of Assembly and House of Representatives, from 30 years old to 25 years old, Senate and Governorship from 35 years old to 30 years old, and Office of the President from 40 years to 30 years old.
Looking at what is going on in our society today, the questions that have been popping up every now and then is, are youth ready to take up leadership position in the country? So today we want to know, what was the driving force behind this move, Not Too Young to Run?
The Not Too Young to Run movement is a movement of youth and civil society organizations and over 100 organizations across the country who are committed to increasing the participation, representation, and inclusion of young people in our politics and in our democracy and in spaces where governance happens. The Not Too Young to Run movement has been agitating for age reduction for over 10 years under various names. But in 2016, after a review of all the previous attempts to amend the Constitution, this group came up with the name Not Too Young to Run. And it took 2 years of engaging. And finally, in 2018, President Muhammadu Buhari signed the Not Too Young to Run bill into law.
The bill was first read at the Nigeria's House of Representatives and was passed with vote of 80-10 in the Senate on July 26, 2017. The President signed the bill into law on 31st of May 2018.
After the President signed into law, what happened after that?
I can see a lot of participation of youths, in various levels. Taking, for example, my state, Akwa Ibom State, where we had some youth showing interest, and if one of the seats of the State House Assembly is being occupied by youth, I think CDB State Constituency, if I'm not mistaken, Honorable Tobong Bob. And so far, I believe he has done a lot. I believe he's been able to inject new ideas, innovations in legislative disposition. And if he could do that, if one out of the rest could do that, I can then imagine what many others would do.
And our research showed us that from 2015 to 2019, the number of young candidates who are running for office actually increased. This is partly due to the Not Too Young to Run movement. But I can also tell you that in Katsina, there's a 25-year-old member of the State House of Assembly. In 2019, he was 25. In Akwa Ibom, there's a 26-year-old who won House of Assembly elections in his state. In Nasarawa State, there's a 27-year-old, and these are currently members of the State Houses of Assembly, and these are examples that we can show that there are young people with the capacity, who have the resources, who are able to mobilize and campaign within their constituencies and to win elections. But also very interesting is that after the Not Too Young to Run bill was signed by the president, one of the things that the movement did was to engage with political parties, because yes, we understand that there are some challenges. Okay. We reached out to all the political parties in the country and said, among other things, to reduce the cost of nomination forms so that more young people can run for office, to ensure that political party primaries are open, democratic, and transparent, because that is another barrier that young people face when they want to run for office. And also to also look around, ensuring that there are quotas for young people and young people can fill some certain quotas. And after that, we held a conference where we had over 400 young aspirants. It was called the Convergence, which held in December 2019. Where we built the capacity of young people on how to campaign, how to engage with their constituencies, how to raise resources for their campaign as well.
How many youth can afford the money for form to go for an elective office? Have you considered other factors surrounding this bill? Even if they sign this bill into law, even if they give youth the opportunity to say, okay, you can run for president at age 25, are we ready? Are the youth ready to take up this, considering the factors surrounding this bill?
So young people are definitely ready when it comes to leadership positions. But if you know, there's just one office of the president. But when you look at the National Assembly, for instance, and take the House of Representatives, there are 360 seats. So that means there's more opportunity for young people to run for legislative offices instead of just one executive office. If you look across the 36 states, there are 991 State House of Assembly seats. So that also means that there is more opportunity for young people to run for office.
Now, what do you think you should be doing or should do to get themselves prepared for this position they are clamoring for?
Self-development, human capacity. I don't believe in being given fish. I believe in being taught how to fish.
The Not Too Young to Run bill has done a few things. One, it has deepened our democratic process and experience. Young people who are a very instrumental voice, and many times it is said that young people make up between 60 to 70% of our population. I think it is undemocratic if 60 to 70% of the population are not given the right to aspire to represent their constituencies. If we have only older people in these decision-making spaces, that means decisions being taken for youth are not being taken for youth.
In the last election, close to signing of the bill, one expected young persons in their number to emerge and contest for various positions, but that was not the case. Have youths given up on this?
After the president signed the bill into law, young people under the age of 30 could definitely now run for elections, and we saw an increase in the number of young people who ran for office, especially in the State Houses of Assembly and in the House of Representatives. And for us, this is a win. Also built the capacity of young people to effectively run for office in the 2019 elections. And following the elections, we saw an increase in the number of young people who won elections into the House of Representatives and into the State Houses of Assembly across the 36 states in Nigeria.
Atmosphere is very calm now, very cool towards the not too young to run. Have the youth given up, or they've said they've arrived so they can relax and sleep?
No. So I think one of the reasons why you have not heard a lot from the movement is that following the elections and young people have won and they are settling in. But there's currently a constitution amendment process that is ongoing in the National Assembly, and there's a call for memos. And we have submitted for further age reductions, especially reduction in the age for Senate, reduction in the age for governor. And one of our previous demands was for independent candidacy, which means you do not have to be a member of a political party to run for office. You can run on your own, because political parties also are a barrier to the aspirations of some young people who want to run for office. And we were going to reactivate the campaign, and you're going to hear the noise again. But one of the reasons why it has been a bit quiet or calm, like you're saying, is because the opportunities for engagement and the spaces for engagement have changed. We are building the capacity of young people who have won. And this is very important, because as we approach the next election, they are going to be the benchmark by which many young people are going to be assessed. So if the current crop of young people perform well, in 2023 we can say, look at this young man or look at this young woman who did an exceptionally well job. And we'll say this is a basis to get more young people into these spaces, because they are going to perform and they are going to protect our interests.
They actually haven't given up on this. I haven't given up on it. I think the only lacuna, cost of politicking in this climate of the world is quite on the high side. If a youth of the age of 25 graduates from school, and then for how long will it take him to work, to make money, to go buy forms, to be able to stand an election? And that still gives room for those of, who are elderly, who are wealthier than the youth of 25 years old, to still come by in the system.
Any youths have the capacity you have in all the parties in this nation. So why couldn't they work themselves to the level of, taking over and then, being the president of Nigeria, being the minister, being the vice president of Nigeria, so that they can enforce their ideas, provided that idea is for the common good of all.
Beam TV, a broader perspective.